Well, I think we can start then. Um, Hi, everyone. Welcome to the last town hall of the year. Need to give me just a second. I have to, yeah, sorry. It's really nice to be here virtually with all of you. I'm Lisa Gold, A4's Executive Director. And a quick accessibility check. I am a Hapa, half Korean, half white woman, middle-aged, grayish, brownish hair, wearing a black blouse. I'm really excited for tonight's town hall and our special guests, but there's so much great work being made out there, so many opportunities for writers. So we're really happy to be able to share all of that tonight. For those of you who are familiar with A4, you know that we are dedicated to ensuring greater representation, equity, and opportunities for Asian American artists and cultural organizations. And we do that through resource sharing, promotion, and community building. And Town Hall is one of our signature program that helps us fulfill that mission. So just for those of you who haven't been to a town hall before, this is how I'm just going to give you a short rundown. So we have two featured presenters and two groups of short pitches, which are going to be 1 minute in length. And then I'm going to ring a bell at the end of a minute. So please keep your remarks to the minute so the next person can go. And then after our first feature presenter, I'll call the names for everybody that's giving the 1 minute pitches, and we will also drop your names in the chat. So be ready to go when your name is called. And then we'll repeat the process again after the second featured presenter. And then after all of the pre-registered 1 minute pitches are done, I'll ask if anybody who hasn't shared yet, if they'd like to share a project, they can write you can write your name and your social media handle in the chat, and I will call on you, or you can raise your virtual hand. There is an option in, I think it's in reactions. I don't know. It's at the bottom of your, it's the bottom of your screen, or next to your name. You can click the raise hand, and then we'll call on you. Okay, so before we start, I just want to do a couple of quick announcements and a brief land acknowledgement. So first of all, I want to thank our amazing team, Justine Lee, Shannon Lee, and Anjur Kadelka for their help with tonight's event and all of our events. Note that we are recording and we're going to post this event on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We love it if you turn on your camera because we love to see your faces, but we understand not everybody feels it, so that's okay. If you want to share this event or what you're seeing or hearing, you can use social, tag us at A4 Town Hall. That would be great. And then also, we would really love it if you could fill out this post-event survey. So we always are trying to improve our programs and shape them so they're more relevant to you, and we want to know what you want. So your input, it really matters. So if you want to be a featured presenter for a future town hall, or you know somebody who is, or you have an idea for a program, just fill out the form that you can access through the QR code and let us know. So, okay, upcoming events. Next Monday, November 21st at 6:30, we're going to be hosting an information session with our friends at MOCADA, the Museum of Contemporary African Diasporan Arts, about the Bandung residency, which promotes discourse and solidarity between the Black and Asian American communities. The application is open now and the deadline is January 9th, but don't wait. This is an amazing opportunity. It's a paid residency. You will meet just some incredible people, I guarantee it. So this is our second cohort. The first cohort was just fire. They were wonderful. Okay, second event. On Thursday, December 8th, we're going to be holding an AAPI actor audition workshop with casting directors from Disney Live Entertainment. So they're going to have a discussion about best practices for auditioning, and then there'll be a live monologue critique. So if you want to volunteer for that critique, or you just want to learn more, check out the event on our website. And now, and big news, we're moving. I don't even know how long we've been in our space in Dumbo. It's been like 10 years or more. So we're moving to the city, the big city. We're moving to Manhattan next week, Monday. We're going to be just a couple blocks north of K-Town on West 38th Street between 5th and 6th. So we'll let you know when we're settled in. So we'll have to have a housewarming party and have you all come and visit. It's very, very convenient, close to all subway lines. And then finally, a friendly reminder just to please share your work with us and the community by posting it on the A4 website. It's free, it's easy. Just click the community login tab and you can post your events or your opportunities. And that's how we pull events that we include in our newsletter. Let's see. As always, we want to thank our great supporters without whom this would not be happening. So thank you to Con Edison, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, in partnership with the City Council, the New York State Council on the Arts, with the support of Governor-elect Kathy Hochul and the New York State Legislature, the National Endowment for the Arts, the New York Community Trust, the Howard Gilman Foundation, Fila Fiskars, the Tiger Foundation, and just so many generous individuals who make our programs possible. And if you want to be among our list of supporters, you can text A4 donate to 202-858-1233 or just visit our website. Okay, so now I just would like to offer a brief land acknowledgement because, you know, while if we were in the A4 offices, we would be on the unceded lands of the Munsee, Lenape, Canarsie peoples. But since we are meeting virtually, I want to share a digital land acknowledgement that was written by Canadian theater artist Adrienne Wong. So since our activities are shared digitally to the internet, let's also take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within the technologies, structures, and ways of thinking we use every day. We're using equipment and high-speed internet not available in many Indigenous communities. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art that we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide. So I invite you to join me in acknowledging all of this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time, and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and allyship. So thank you. Before I introduce our first guest speaker, I would like to welcome Shannon Lee, the editor of the AMP, our new magazine, to say a few words. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lisa. I saw a little shout out for that land acknowledgement. I agree. It's always just so fantastic and refreshing to hear. I'll try to keep this brief, but hi, everyone. Welcome. As Lisa mentioned, my name is Shannon Lee, she, they pronouns editor of A4's brand new online magazine, The AMP, which we launched earlier this month. As our name implies, we exist to amplify the voices of New York's AAPI cultural community and make sure that we are heard loud and clear. One of the things that I feel like gets talked about a lot is this perpetual feeling of erasure and this kind of generational amnesia. And because there hasn't been much documentation of AAPI culture and artists in the past, there's this assumption that it just doesn't exist, and that's so patently untrue. And we want the AMP to help change that perception and that feeling, and serve as an authoritative record and voice for all of the amazing, brilliant AAPI art and artists that have been and continue to be here in New York. So Justine is sharing kind of a running slide of some of the stories we recently published, and I can run through some of them shortly, but if you're interested in writing for us, please reach out. We offer a rate of 40 cents a word. And actually, Justine, do you mind going back up to the top just so I can run through some of our content just to give people a sense of what we're looking for? Cool, thank you. Yeah, so here's some of the stories that we've published with Launch. This is a photo essay written and photographed by Sunny Chokre. She's an Iranian-American photographer who attended Disco Tehran. It's a performance that celebrates 1970s Iran before the takeover of the Islamic Republic. And the essay is just a beautiful reflection on how the event has helped her process the current protests. And we commission one photo essay a quarter. We're looking for essays that really tell a cohesive story and showcase the photographer's unique vision and sensibility. Oops, sorry, Justine did the slide. Okay, cool. All right. The next story is an interview. This interview is more of a conversation. You might recognize one of the names here. Shout out to Ryan. I was in a conversation with Ryan Lee Wong and Hua Shu. They both published amazing stories about sort of being AAPI coming of age and kind of figuring out how to navigate the world. And we just had a fantastic conversation. It was such a joy to be a part of. We talked about everything from activism, writing about families, West Coast versus East Coast AAPI. For pitches, we're looking for interviews that can either be a conversation between two creatives like this one, or they can be more of a direct interview that's just a interview or interviewee format. We could go to the next one. We're also looking for profiles on artists. This is a profile on the artist and musician Serentip, who just released an album called Carbon. That's kind of a synthesization of climate change into music. Next slide. And we also publish lots of reviews. These can be of specific artworks, exhibitions, performances, records, books, you name it. We're looking for reviews that have a really specific perspective and give readers greater context and insight, and really give that insight from an AAPI perspective as well. And I think we can run through the rest of these. Yeah, these are some additional reviews that we've published. Cool. Yeah, and then this is a bit more. If you're interested in submitting or just learning more about the AMP, you can follow that QR code. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email me, reach out via DM at any point during this Zoom session. I'd also really like to encourage everyone to sign up for A4's newsletter to stay updated on all the new stories we publish on the AMP. That's the best way to stay abreast of what we're up to and what we're covering. All right, and with that, I think I've covered all AMP stuff. I'm gonna hand it over back to Lisa.
Thanks so much, Shannon. I appreciate that. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce our first featured guest, the inimitable Gina Apostol. Gina is a Philippines-born, New York-based writer with just a slew of awards to her name, including the 2022 Rome Prize in Literature and the Philippine National Book Award. Her last book, Insurrecto, was named by Publishers Weekly one of the 10 best books of 2018 and was selected as an editor's choice of the New York Times and shortlisted for the Dayton Prize. Gun Dealer's Daughter won the 2013 Penn Open Book Award, and she's got so much more that you can investigate, essays and books and anything. I recently saw Gina on a panel at the Cooper Union celebrating 130 years of Asian American activism in New York City. And Gina was feisty and salty, and I loved every minute of it. You know, that night commemorated the anniversary of a protest against the Geary Act, which required Chinese residents of the United States to carry a resident permit at all time. Gina, you have been an activist since your teenage years. Yeah. So I'm really curious about how that fuels your writing, if that's still at your very core, or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're right. The minute I got to college, I grew up under a military dictatorship, in the Philippines. And the minute I got to college, I just joined the marches. I've always been invigorated by protests, by being with people who are similarly wishing for change. And I think one of the reasons why I remain very much part of a group of groups that wish to, just organize for change lies in the fact that we actually did kick out a dictator. So we were marching, and we eventually, and we didn't expect to do it. Obviously we didn't. We thought we would die. But um, for any number of reasons, but very much because of activism on the part of so many sectors in Philippine society, we did kick out the dictator. And I think that was a very kind of formative experience for me. So I remain part of a group called Malaya, which is a group, an umbrella group of organizations that wish to move people and to join actions that we think will create change. For instance, the Philippine Human Rights Act, which we're trying to get through Congress, supported by, there's Congresswoman from, okay, now I forget which one. But anyway, we're trying to get the Philippine Human Rights Act to have people, to have the Congress stop giving money to the military in the Philippines, to the military and police in the Philippines. That's what we're trying to do, because the United States does give, we as citizens give money to support the dictatorship in the Philippines.
So speaking of that, you recently, I think you were part of the protest for Bong Bong's visit to New York. Was that true?
Yes. A group of us wrote a letter asking Asia Society to rescind the invitation. Asia Society never responded. Asia Society never rescinded. They still had Bongbong Marcos go to be part of a conversation about whatever bullshit that they wanted to bullshit about. It was ridiculous. What Asia Society did was absolutely abhorrent. So I joined the protest at Asia Society. I continued. There's still a boycott of Asia Society. They have not responded. They responded to us by asking us if we wanted to meet. Now that is not a good response. I'm sorry. So we told them ways that they could respond more properly, and they still have not done any of the things that we asked for. So we've never met them. But so that boycott is still on. So I hope people know that Asia Society invited the dictator's son for a conversation, happily inviting him with pleasure and without really consulting the community. And it was part of a big PR ploy by the Marcos regime that, in my view, was simply incredible on the part of Asia Society to do what they did.
Gina, is there somewhere online that people can find out about Malaya, or did you write a letter, an open letter that people can learn about?
Yes, the letter that we have, the open letter on Asia Society is online, and I can look for I can send you the links for that. And the organizations that we're saying you could check out on Filipino American issues are also in the update to the Asia Society letter.
That's great. So we'll get that information from you, and we'll share it in a follow-up email to everybody who's here tonight. Yeah, that's great. I can tell that you're still out there making change, shaking things up. So what else? What are you working on right now?
Well, during the pandemic, I actually finished a novel. So I was writing about two brothers in the Philippine American War for a long time, even before Insurrecto. That was the novel that I was working on, but it turns out during the pandemic, it completely changed and it's only about my mom. It's mainly about my mother, although the two brothers are still there. So that novel is coming out in May next year. So I've been working on the copy editing, the proofreading, and I just got the proofreading notes. So that's what I've been working on. I'm also doing research for this next novel that I'll be working on when I'm in Rome.
And what's that one?
Oh, that one is set in the 1880s, 1890s. It's about a woman again. It's trying to figure out how to understand the radical woman in radical politics within so 1890s. This is the kind of reform period, reformistas of the Philippine Revolution. They're mostly male, the heroes. This woman was killed by her husband, who is a great Philippine national hero. He's one of the considered the greatest painter. So he's the national artist. And he killed his wife. So I'm interested in the wife of that hero. And so I'm doing research on how to understand womanhood and the marginalized beyond just the nationalist marginalized people, the nationalist heroes were also marginalized, but to think about, sexuality, think about womanhood, think about even, it's all set in Paris. So Paris in the 1880s, 1890s is really interesting in terms of sexuality, issues of women, as well as lesbian, gay, LGBTQ things. So those are all part of the novel.
I can't wait to read it. Since we only have a couple minutes left, I could talk to you all night. I mean, you have the most amazing stories, but we only have about 2 more minutes. So I just wanted to ask you, there are many young emerging writers here tonight, and I just wanted to know if you have any thoughts or advice or wisdom or inspiration you would like to share with them.
Yeah, my partner's Irish, and there's this Irish phrase, fuck the begrudgers. Fuck the begrudgers. For me, it's all about you center who you are, you center your world, you do it unapologetically, and people have to follow. People have to follow you. I don't know, but it's just that you have to center yourself in a way that is so true to you that others will have to listen, because there's no way out of the truth that you're trying to figure out. And a lot of times the truth for you is usually about your questions. You don't quite understand what's going on, but you're moving into the questions, you're moving into the difficulties and the complexities of your world. And the fact is, our world is amazing, as you know, AAPI, amazingly complex, because it's the geographical world is so big. The issues of class are so big. The issues of the so-called marginalized and the world of the ignorant, of the ignorant majority space. To recognize that the majority space is this world of ignorance, and that your space is so much bigger than theirs, and to really move into that complexity of your world versus this majority space that is so problematic, and because they don't know your world. So take that on, and take that on without apology.
That's amazing. Thank you, Gina. I love that. But I do have to apologize, because now we have to move on to our pitches. So I have to wrap this up. But I just want to thank you so much. It was a pleasure hearing from you. Like I said, you never disappoint, always feisty and full of great advice.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we are going to hear from our first group of pitchers. So that is Karen Chan, Shirley, Rohan, Jiwan, G, and Annie. So let's see, who is first? Karen, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ring the chime at 1 minute, but you can start right now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Karen, and I'm based in Queens, New York. I am a multidisciplinary artist, and I also write poetry. So this is my first town hall meeting, and I'm really happy to be here. I self-published my first chapbook of poetry chapbook titled Your Body is an Idea. And this year I completed my second manuscript titled Arm, Arm. It includes 20 poems and a few newer ones that I'm still workshopping. For this second collection, I hope to find an independent publisher that is a good fit and who is also interested in working with me. But I'm kind of really new at this, so I need some help. I'm also considering hand making my next chapbook as an alternative. I would print it myself and hand bind it. It would be helpful to receive some guidance or feedback on either finding a publisher, working with a publisher, or bookmaking. Finally, I'll read a really, really short excerpt from something I'm working on.
Karen, you are at a minute, so
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
It goes really
Oh, cool.
fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't have to read it. A bit
Okay.
shy about it, but thank
Well,
you.
I'm sure there'll be people in the breakout rooms that can offer you some guidance. Okay. Next up is Shirley. Shirley Kai. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hi. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, I'm Shirley Kai. I'm the communications manager at Kundiman, and we are a literary nonprofit dedicated to nurturing readers and writers of Asian American literature. We see the arts as a tool of empowerment, liberation, and solidarity, and we seek to create a nurturing yet rigorous environment for Asian American literature. We care deeply about building community through our programs. So we offer writing tools and resources such as online craft classes and workshops. We host in-person and virtual readings and events, and we provide opportunities to learn more about the publishing world through panels and discussions. And lastly, we hold a signature retreat every year at Fordham University in the Bronx, where emerging Asian American writers can come and hone their craft and participate in a close, tight-knit artistic community. Our annual retreat will take place from June 21st to 25th next year, and applications actually open in 2 weeks on December 1st, so mark your calendars. We hope that you'll join us for a class or two, or maybe we'll see you at the retreat. So for more information, head to our website, kundiman.org, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Kundiman Forever.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Excellent. Okay, next, Rohan.
Hi everybody, my name is Rohan Jolie. Just a little bit about me. I am a Black Asian solidarity activist here in the community. In terms of my own writing, I have written articles for Next Shark, Newsweek. Oh, there's my presentation. Okay, great. So can you show us the next slide, please? So I'm a writer. Most of my articles have been published through Newsweek, Next Shark. Here are some examples of my writing. These are specifically around Asian American contemporary politics. Fun fact, I also covered the Malaya movement protests at the UN. Next slide, please. I'm also working as a poet. So my work has been commissioned out at the Unite Festival in Zurich, Switzerland. Next slide, please. Working on children's books as well. Next slide, please. I know I'm in a rush. My main love is Afro-Asian fantasy. And I'm currently pitching a full-length novel at 96,000 words. So that's me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Next is Jiwon Choi.
Yes. Hi. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Hanging Loose Press. We are a small independent press based in Brooklyn. We have been championing the work of underrepresented authors for 56 years. Writers who are marginalized because of their race, their gender, or socioeconomic status. Our continued mission has been to look to broaden our creative and cultural scope by inviting guest editors for our magazine, which we publish twice a year. We also collaborate with Queens College on the Luce Translation Prize for the publication of a book translated by an MFA translation student. We also feature high school writers in every issue of our magazine. And in the near future, we hope to offer paid internships to young people who are interested in learning about how small independent presses can actually change the landscape of publishing for the better. Thank you so much.
Perfect timing. Okay. Next is Ji Ko.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ji Leong Ko. I'm the founder and organizer of Singapore Unbound, which is a literary nonprofit based in New York City. We publish a journal of Asian writing and art called Suspect, and we welcome submissions of poetry, fiction, as well as essays. We pay all contributions, accepted contributions, USD $100. Besides the journal, we also are an indie press called Gaudy Boy. We publish works of fiction as well as essays. And for poetry, we actually run a Gaudy Boy Poetry Book Prize every year. And the prize has been judged by such luminaries as Vijay Seshadri, as well as the poetry scholar Dorothy Wong. And we are really interested in publishing works by Asians from America and across the world. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you this evening.
Fantastic. Thank you. Gosh, everybody's on time tonight. That's amazing. Okay, the last in this first group, Annie Tan. Annie?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I am working on a memoir right now. It's my first book after teaching for 10 years. It's about me being a kid from Chinatown, not speaking my parents' languages. And then I found out at 13 years old, I was related to Vincent Chin, who was murdered 40 years ago, and whose legacy led to many of us calling ourselves Asian American in the first place. I'm looking kind of for guidance, accountability buddies, beta readers. I can also speak at any of your events as a relative of Vincent Chin. I have spoke, this is a photo of me at NAP's 40th anniversary conference in August. I'm just really excited to be among abundance and asking for help, especially as an emerging writer who is very new to the space of writing, to be able to have guidance from you all and how to push this book forward, which is very much needed. Also, Peter Liang case is a focal point, as is in Ryan Lee Wong's book that is coming up right after this, which I really loved, Ryan. I just wanted to say that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Annie. That's a great segue, because appreciate all of those pitches. Thank you for sharing that. So next, I am very excited to introduce our next speaker, Ryan Lee Wong. Ryan was born and raised in LA, so he's bringing that West Coast vibe tonight. Ryan has written on the intersections of arts, race, and social movements, and he's organized exhibitions focused on Asian American movements of the 1970s. He's also the administrative director of the Brooklyn Zen Center, and he recently led a meditation workshop for Communities Resist as a recipient of A4's What Can We Do microgrant program. So tonight, Ryan's going to read from his latest novel. Which side are you on? Ryan, I cede the floor to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. It's really wonderful to be here with all of you. I've been coming to these town halls since I was fresh into New York, a baby curator, arts organizer, and this town hall has been a kind of home for me. And so I thought it would be appropriate in this context to actually talk about my path to writing through community. And so, you know, writing is often talked about as a very individual activity. It can be very solitary, it can be very lonely, which is true. And also what I want to emphasize is that for me, it would be impossible, literally, for me to imagine myself as a writer outside of community, outside of spaces like this. So even before I knew I wanted to write fiction, I was doing all this work on the history of Asian America. And I was working at Museum of Chinese in America. This is like circa 2012. And I heard this thing, like MoCA was founded by these people who met at Basement Workshop. And I was like, what is that? And then I learned that Basement Workshop had been the genesis and spawned all these different organizing arts institutions that were still with us. And so, you know, even 10 years ago, it was a lot harder to find information on Asian American activism, and especially the Asian American movements of the 1970s. And so I literally like went digging through like old boxes. I was calling up all these folks who were part of that movement and like looking through stuff that they had like stored under their mattresses and organizing exhibitions like this one. So this is a slide from an exhibition I did called Serve the People at Interference Archive. You can see on the walls photos by the late Corky Lee, you know, Corky installed those, posters by Tamia Rai, Arlen Huang, albums by Fred Ho, who's also passed a few years ago, and to really talk about what did Asian American activism mean? What did it mean that this identity that we all to some extent claim, or that claims us, came out of radical politics? And that work led me to the next slide, really meeting these Asian American writer communities. So this is a photo from this year's Kundiman summer retreat. I'm all the way in the back. I'm always in the back because I'm 6'3". But you know, this was the space that like really was meaningful to me, because we would do these salons at the retreat where you read to this room of like 50 people. And one thing that did for me was it gave me the knowledge that there would be an audience for what I wanted to write. So I knew I wanted to write this book about, you know, based on my mother's story, who was an activist in South LA in the 1980s, working on Black Korean relations. And there was definitely a voice in my head that was like, who is going to read this book? Like, how am I going to write this book? But being in spaces like Kundiman, Asian American Writers Workshop, A4's Town Hall, I knew there would be at least like 200 people who would read this book. And that was enough. And just like Gina was saying, it gave me that strength and that inner compass to say like, okay, if I just sit here and write the story that is true to me, there will be at least enough people to who get it, that it makes it worth it to publish it. So the next slide. So, you know, I definitely had some what we might call more like mainstream or traditional help with my writing life. I went to get an MFA. I did different writing residencies and summer workshops. I published with Catapult, which is independent, but it is, you know, a more or less like established press. And also, I wouldn't have been a writer if it weren't for spaces like this, spaces like VONA, Asian American Writers Workshop, Kundiman, A4. And so I just wanted to kind of tell that story and offer that story to emphasize how vital spaces like this are, and have been for me and have been for so many writers, and that what we're doing here is not just is meeting each other, is like forming community. And what happens is that it quite literally shifts the landscape of literature. It shifts what is possible in literature, because the more people we can give that inner confidence to write their stories, the more of those stories will be shared with the world. So with that, I'm going to read a little bit from my novel, which was just published in October. And it resonates so much with what Gina talked about and what so many of the folks talked about in the pitches, about a young activist who's back home in LA from New York. And he is trying to understand what he's doing as an activist. So, Mom caught me shuffling toward the coffee machine. Out with CJ all night, she said, smoking that Mary Jane. She was an inspector solving a too easy case. I looked at the dull green lines on the stove clock and saw it was past 10, which meant 1 in the afternoon, New York time. I sniffed my shirt, but didn't detect any trace of weed. Mary Jane, I deflected. Come on, Mom. Uh-huh. Mothers know some things. She swung her arms in wide arcs from side to side, slapping her shoulders and kidneys with loud thwacks, some ancient Taoist morning routine she'd recently begun. No wonder your grades are slipping, she said to me. I rubbed my eyes and inserted a capsule into the machine, one of those sleek pod-based towers that added to the plastic gyre in the ocean with each serving. I pushed a button and the inside roared, sending a creamy string of espresso into my cup. I took a sip and the liquid was eerily rich and fresh, having come from that vacuum-sealed pod. More importantly, my nervous system tingled to life. Smoking is just a form of self-medicating, I said to Mom, to deal with the anxieties of late capitalism. It's actually one of the least self-destructive things I can do. Please, said Mom, do what you want. I went to college too, you know. The stuff always just made me sleepy. I added this to the sketchy picture I had of Mom's Berkeley years. Thank you for that, Mom. I'll carry forward the family tradition of fighting the man and smoking Mary Jane. Mom wagged her hand at me. I never said you should do it. You slept till 10 and you still look like hell. She pulled down the flesh under her eyes to illustrate. I'm saying you should learn from your mother's mistakes. She stopped swinging her arms and gestured toward the dining room table. She folded her hands. I don't support your dropping out of college plan, she said, and not just because I'm your mother. I've been there, and it's painful, the whole Black Asian situation. She inhaled as if to dive underwater. Your mother co-founded something called the Black Korean Coalition in the 1980s to stop all the violence in South Central. My mind lit up, blazing a connection between Mom's words and the half-dozen meetings and teach-ins on Black Asian solidarity we'd held in the past year, trying to string together an alternative history, proving that we were more than shopkeepers harassing their Black customers, parents suing to overturn affirmative action. But the histories had started to feel thin. I thought of all the pictures I'd seen of Yuri Kochiyama, that Nisei grandma with her permed hair but wearing a Free Mumia t-shirt, and Grace Lee Boggs, the revolutionary theorist who organized urban farms in Detroit. I'd heard so many spoken word tributes, had watched so many indie documentaries on them that, though I'd never say so aloud, the attachment was starting to feel a little desperate. They were like exceptions proving the rule of Asian anti-Blackness, lighthouses accentuating the fogginess of the coastline. Mom, I said, wow, we need that story. This had to be related to Rodney King and the LA uprising, right? Saigu? 429, the Korean name for the April day their stores were set aflame, a low point in our Black Asian timeline. This would totally remake the popular narrative. Maybe you could lead a workshop or teach-in, or you could do an oral history. Wow, said Mom. I've never seen my son so eager to talk to me. It's not exactly a happy story. No, of course. I mean, we'd have to take a trauma-informed approach. My son, Mom put up a palm to stop me. There are things I'm happy to share if they help you understand what you're doing out there. But I'm not going to polish it into some toolkit you can circulate to your activist friends. These young organizers, they always come to me saying, Auntie, can you mentor me? And I say to them, first, I'm not your auntie. I'm not that old. And second, what the fuck for? I don't have any answers. Usually, they just want someone to listen to their problems. I pictured all of my activist friends saying exactly that, the yearning and eagerness in their faces, and I felt my own desperation, my sudden childlike need. Exactly, I said. It shows how few Asian American activist models we have. Most of my friends' parents and grandparents don't even support Black Lives Matter, let alone teach them movement history. Movement history? God, You make me sound so old. Mom crossed her arms, smug at having the upper hand. Aren't you grateful to have such a cool mother? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. That was great. Appreciate that. And good luck with, I don't know if you're still on your whirlwind book tour or, okay, great. Well, thank you for making time for us tonight. It was lovely. Okay, so up next, let's see, we have Yvonne, Dennis, Georges, Jay, and Francis. Let's see, Yvonne, I believe you are here. Yes?
Okay.
Yes, okay.
All right.
You have 1 minute.
Okay. All right. Hello. My memoir, I Talked to My Mother in the Clouds, is the story of the years I spent guarding my shameful secrets, adoption, parental abuse, my mother's mental illness, and my own, even breast cancer, until at last I found my voice. Over 1.5 million people read my HuffPost essay about why I kept my adoption a secret for over 60 years. Readers of my pieces in the New York Times, Salon, and Newsweek, and listeners of the New York Times Modern Love podcast worldwide thank me for giving a voice to their own experiences. Many said they cried, but also found hope. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Yeah, if you want to drop anything in the chat so that people can follow up and find your memoir, that would be great. Next up is Dennis. Yay, hello, Dennis.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is Dennis Lee. I am the new Director of Performance, Storytelling, and Community at the Museum of Chinese America in New York City. I would like to invite you to MoCA's very first Friendsgiving this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's an evening for artists, communities, and friends and working partners of MoCA to get together, to know one another, share creative ideas, and of course, enjoy dim sum and drinks and some pop-up performances. Our associate curator will serve as a DJ for the night. So you will hear some 60s and 70s Chinese pop. In addition, you will also hear some great music from award-winning Chinese American musicians in diaspora or diaspora, including Terrence Xie and Joanna Wong. And some of the pop-up performances are Shan Wai Zhang's dance performance about her immigrant journey, Yo-Yo's violinist composition piece and Taiwanese folk song, Dan Ting's Hu solo, and comedy scene presented by Nancy Yao and Charlie Wenzel. And there will be also a work in progress documentary as well. Dim sum and drinks will be provided, and we welcome a suggested donation of $15 per person. So I hope you can come. If you're interested in coming, I will share my email in the chat. So drop me a line and let's just stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I was muted. Well, okay, sorry. Next up is Georges from the Film Lab. Georges.
Hi, good evening, everybody. First of all, I apologize for the lighting. Not so good, but anyway, my name is Georges Bridges, and I'm the Community Outreach Liaison for the Asian American Film Lab. We promote ethnic and gender diversity in the film industry. And I want to talk about one of our programs, which is one of our oldest programs, the Unfinished Works program. Currently, the coordinator is Andy Lee. She wasn't able to make it tonight. We have a program. We have a work in December 11th at 3 p.m. Freedom Man by Billy Festerazzi. That's our next unfinished work. And for information on any of our other programs, go to asianamericanfilmlab.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Georges.
You're welcome.
Always loved having you. Okay, next up, Jay. Sound off.
Hey there, everybody. My name is Jay Julio. I am a musician, a poet. I'm also the head of Sound Off Music for Bail. Oh gosh, sorry that there's like the light of the sun behind me. I'm here today to promote our next show at the People's Forum this upcoming Saturday with Red Canary Song, who you guys might know as incredible abolitionist Asian and Asian American group that represents the needs of massage and sex workers. Thank you, Shannon. And we have representatives from Red Canary Song bringing their own writing of what they've experienced and presenting along with our own program at Sound Off. We're presenting music of Black and Asian composers, and I hope you'll join us. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you,
I
Jay.
think it's a video. I don't know if there's time for it.
Oh, you had 5 seconds.
Never mind. Thank you.
Can we show 5 seconds of the video?
Sure. I can't hear it. Oh well.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, and then rounding it out is Francis Ippolito. Francis, are you with us?
I am. Hi. So I'm Francis, and I am one of the co-founders of a new indie press, AAPI. We're going to have a launch. I see Angela there as well. In early 2023, our focus is to amplify and lift marginalized voices, with the first couple of years focusing on stories and creators from the Asian diaspora. So we will be around in 2023 and would love to hear from you all. Our content is going to be pretty broad. We're going to do educational, adult, children's, middle grade, early, YA, and we do have a soft spot for speculative because I write horror and sci-fi and all that. And in addition to that, we already have a magazine that's out. It is an acquired magazine, so it has a history of being a big presence in speculative space and time, so you could check that out, but it's sort of evolving as we've taken it on. In addition to this, I do want to do a little shout out for Young Willamette Writers, which I am a co-chair of. We provide free writing workshop classes for middle grade and high school students anywhere, so they can Zoom in or attend in person. And I'm always looking for speakers for writers and creators who can provide a diverse experience for our students, and we do pay.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Francis. That's great. If you want to drop any information or links in the chat, that would be great. All right. So now that we've finished with all of the 1-minute pitches, is there anybody who has not had a chance to speak but would like to share? We do 30-second pitches. So if there's an announcement that you'd like to make, anything you're working on, questions that you have, you can just, okay, we're going to start with Rachel. Anybody else, just drop your name in the chat box or raise your hand with the hand icon and I will call on you. First up, Rachel Lynn.
Hi, everyone. I thought I was speaking tonight, but okay. My name is Rachel Lynn, and I'm doing a workshop of a solo show called Dear John at IRT, December 15th to the 17th. And I actually got to develop it a little bit with A4. I was a virtual resident of their last residency last year. And yeah, I would just love to invite everybody to the show, and I'll drop a link in the chat for more information. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rachel. Next up is Erin. Whoops, stop. Okay, Erin.
Hi. My name is Erin Jinmei O'Malley. I'm a writer, primarily a poet. I'm also a Lambda Literary Fellow, Poets Fellow, and a Roots Wounds Words Fellow. And I really wanted to take these few seconds to talk about this project that I really want to do, which is I've been awarded these fellowships and been able to participate in writing conferences, and I feel so grateful to have done that, but I really want to share that information with others. So I'm working to build an open drive of notes and other resources from conferences and other opportunities that exist in the writing world. So if you're interested in either accessing the drive when it's ready or collaborating and offering any notes or resources that you have, I will drop my contact information, my social media, website, etc. in the chat.
Great. Thank you so much, Erin. I love that community spirit. Next up is Lux. Lux, want to share?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Lak Chen. I am a Chinese-English bilingual writer, translator, and film critic. I write nonfiction reports focusing on women, immigrants, grassroots artists, and mental health issues. I also write book and film reviews to bridge the cultural gaps between China and America. I am also a feminist involved in community theater. I wrote and one-act play, and I wrote and performed in a one-act play on the Me Too movement in China with the Chinese Feminist Collective. I am always looking for friends, collaborators, and opportunities. So please reach out. Please tell me your story. Thank you.
Thank you, Lux. Okay, next up, I think Soyoung Park. Soyoung wants to speak.
Yeah, hi. I'm currently an intern at the Korean Film Festival Canada, which is a subsidiary of Arts East West, which is a Montreal-based organization. And our first meeting of Kim's Convenience is happening. We are the Asian Diaspora and Migration Book Club, and we are an online book club. Knowledge of the text is not necessary because we only use the text as a jumping off point to discuss our experiences as diaspora individuals in the arts community. And we have new speakers every week, mostly Canadian artists, but also American and Korean artists as well. And submissions for the film festival are also opening up soon. So stay tuned on the Instagram for more information. And we would love to see you at the book club on Saturday. Thank you.
Great, fantastic. Thank you, Soyoung. That is great. If you want to drop the link in the chat so people can follow up with you, that would be great. I think that's it. Is there anybody else that wanted to share a few words? 30 seconds? My dog does. Okay, so with that, then I want to thank all of you for your great share out there.